Solve x squared minus 10x plus 13 equals 0 by completing the square. You cannot factor x squared minus 10x plus 13. There are not two numbers that multiply to give you 13 and add to give you negative 10. So we cannot solve this by factoring. We might be able to graph it and find the x-intercepts, but an easier way is to complete the square. Now remember, when you complete the square, we had an x squared plus a bx, and we added some value to the end of it to make it a perfect square trinomial. So if I go to this x squared minus 10x plus 13, I really just need the x squared minus 10x. That gives me my x squared, and there's my bx, and then I can complete the square. So I want to get rid of this plus 13. So I'm just going to move it out of the way by subtracting it from each side. So when I do that, that leaves me with x squared minus 10x. I'm going to leave a space, write my equal sign, and then 0 minus 13 is negative 13. And if you notice, this left side, I'm ready to complete the square on it because I have what I need, the x squared and the bx. So to complete the square, the formula says to add b divided by 2 squared onto the end to make it a perfect square trinomial. So in our situation, the b is equal to negative 10. I take that b and I divide it by 2. So I'm going to take negative 10, I divide it by 2, I get negative 5. And then I take the b over 2 and I'm going to square it. I take my negative 5, I square it, that gives me 25. And I add the 25 onto the left side. And it does form a perfect square trinomial. If you take the square root of x squared, you get x. You take the square root of the 25, you get 5. So 5 times x is 5x, times 2 is 10x. That makes the perfect square trinomial. So that's just our test, but we don't need to really worry about that right now. One thing you need to realize is that we just added a 25 to the left side. This is an equation. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I'm going to go over here and add 25 to the right side because we got to keep the equation balanced. And now we want to solve it for x. Now, if it's a perfect square trinomial, we can factor it. And our rule says that it always factors down to x plus b divided by 2 squared. That is the factors. Now, if you don't remember the formula, just make your x and factor this as you normally would when a is equal to 1. And you'll be able to come up with the two factors. So I've got an x here. My b divided by 2, if you go right here, is negative 5. So I'm going to put a minus 5 here, and then I square it. That's how this perfect square will factor down. Equals, and then I need to go 25, or negative 13 plus 25, which is going to be a 12. So now I'm ready to solve for x. So I've got this x minus 5 squared. We know how to solve this. We need to cancel out the square. We're going to take the square root of each side. So when you square root a square, they cancel. That leaves me with x minus 5 equals the square root of 12. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the plus or minus in front of that square root of 12. And then I'm going to take my minus 5 and move it over. So I'm going to add 5 to each side. That gives me x is equal to 5 plus or minus the square root of 12. And then I need to ask myself, can I simplify the square root of 12? It does factor down to 4 times 3, and the square root of 4 is 2. So this is really 2 root 3 plus or minus, and then we have our 5 in front. So x is equal to 5 plus or minus 2 root 3. That is your x-intercepts. That is the solutions to this quadratic formula. So we have solved it by completing the square.